Hello and welcome back. Sean here, Mountains Garage. It's a beautiful Saturday afternoon. A little bit of rain this morning, kind of chilly, high in the high 30s, I think it was. At the soccer game when I was doing my soccer mom duties, which means I got one eye on the field and the other eye on Marketplace, looking for stuff. To my surprise, 10 minutes from my house is a aluminum 6.2 liter motor. Now, I've been collecting LS based engines for over a decade. I buy them when they're a deal. They're pretty much a commodity. I've traded, taken some back in trade. I have more than I can count. I'm not trying to brag, it's just a fact. When they're in your face and affordable, it's probably better than money in the bank. I have always dreamed of finding an aluminum 6.2, but what are the chances? I turn on Marketplace and it was listed an hour before I was reading the ad. I figured it'd be gone, so I responded anyway. And the guy got right back to me. Said he'd be back at his house right after lunch. I said, well, I'm 10 minutes from there, from where it's listed anyway, and I will be ready to come get it. A few minutes later, I see it's been marked pending. Now, I don't know if that's me or somebody else, because as you know on Marketplace, it's going to go to the first person that shows up. Depends on the guy selling it or the person selling it. And in this case, this dude was all right. And come to find out, when he gave me his address, I have bought stuff from him before. Last time I was there was after 10 p.m. on a Saturday night, buying the clamshell type rear end bearing remover that I have that I love so much. It came from his house as well, same guy. He's just a stand-up dude, occasionally selling stuff. I don't understand everything I see about this engine. He told me it needs to be fixed because it was making a noise. It drove to his house. They removed it and put in another one. That's cool. It has a wiring connector plug in every connection on the engine, including, I'm looking at the intake manifold, all the injector connectors are there. They've all been cut, just like a junkyard. And there was a junkyard engine involved because this was installed, supposedly bought at the junkyard and installed, and they had to put a second one in. So I don't know the whole story, but what I'm looking at is every hose on here is cut like a junkyard. Every wire is cut. It looks like this was the junkyard engine, but it doesn't matter. I paid what I consider a very, very fair price. Glad the guy held it for me. I didn't beat him up on his price. I know it's a deal. See, it's a rectangular port, aluminum block, big bore, LS62. I mean, it's gold. It looks like every other one, unless you know what you're looking for. That, and on the back that I'll show you, it says 6.2 liter. I love that it has like the idler, which looks like it's been replaced. All the coils, they'll all fit my Suburban, which you can't see, but I'm parked right next to my Suburban. And in the past, I've had to go in the shed and steal coils off it. When one day that developed a skip and it was a coil, had to figure out which one. But you know, all these parts have a useful purpose, along with the eventual swap. So what did I do with it? I have one other set of rectangular port heads. I've read and been perfectly happy with any cathedral port combination. I think they make more low speed power. Makes sense. The ports are slightly smaller. The rectangular port stuff is supposed to make more power up high. Typical, no different than a big block Chevy. But I've collected enough other good stuff. I have several of the good Lenati cam kits. I have a Holley Sniper style intake. It doesn't say Sniper on it, but it's the same one pretty much. I think this would be a heck of a combination. So I wasn't expecting, at 12:15 this afternoon. Here it is 3 o'clock and I'm already home with it to have this. So pretty excited. I didn't necessarily have time for all this afternoon, but sometimes you have to make time. I'm in the process of cleaning, trying to wheel and deal to make my other, dream deal go down. And another transmission showed up this morning. This guy wants to go racing in a week and a half, I think. So more, it's stressful if you let it be, but it doesn't have to be. Sometimes you just got to make time. So it has the best GM intake in either style, cathedral port or rectangle port. This one's rectangle port. Again, every ejector plug has the plug still on it. I brought my roll-around stand to bolt it on like I normally do, but it was sitting on this wooden stand, and that could be handy in the future for moving more engines. So I just strapped it on that and didn't bother with my stand. Now I'll lift it out and bolt my stand on it so I can wheel it under the bench or whatever I'm going to do with it. But like I say, every hose is cut. Every connector has a plug. None of the exhaust manifold bolts are broken. It's got a gasket on the side, so it's had work done. But again, I love the mystery of it. You'll never know the whole story, but other than it strips some antifreeze in my bed, we're good. It has the 823 heads, just like my Suburban. My Suburban's only a 6-liter. And boom, 6.2. When these get all greasy, it's hard to tell they're all aluminum. And I wasn't aware, because I don't work on a lot of the late model trucks anymore, that when they went to the 6L 80s and 90s, they must have kept the dished flex plate and made up the difference on the hub and the converter, like they'd been doing all along with the 4L60s. So gone is a 6-liter flat flex plate, and now they just run the dished with no spacer. If you shop around, you'll see they make an LS specific engine storage stand. And if you watched me in the past, I've told you, and I'll go over it again, these are Jegs engine stands. Sometimes, like around Christmas, they're $25 a piece or less. The LS specific cradle is near $100. All I do is cut that corner off right there, and I use the motor mount bolts that are typically still stuck in the engine, or any M10 1.5 bolt. And obviously the back bolts up like a traditional Chevy. And you'll find that these line up with the motor mount bolts. So I put one on each side in the front and one each in the back, and that's enough for me to store anything I want. So I have bought a virtual ton of these. I should count them someday. And I have 2 more to assemble, and I actually have 2 more engines that I was in the midst of all this wheeling and dealing. I have a 5.3 and a 6-liter, both that I had sold a while back. Well, they're coming back home too. So I only had 1 more 6-liter. I have a lot of 4.8s, many 5.3s, and then the Gen 4 6-liter that I sold, the best 6-liter that I ever had, that I didn't do anything with. It was fresh out of a truck with 99,000 miles. I saw the truck it came out of, so I sold it in a weak moment because my buddy wanted it, and we did some wheeling and dealing, and now it's coming back home. So that's pretty cool. Now, if you watched yesterday's video, I hope you did, a lot of people waste a lot of time worried about, the popularity of LS swaps. I'm sure in the 70s and into the 80s, the small block Chevy swap was just as, I wouldn't call it controversial, but I don't understand how people get so upset or so worried about what other people are doing. It's okay to love them all. I like small block Chevys, big block Chevys, LS engines. There's no better bang for your buck, and you cannot, if you're just a GM guy, can you show me where I can go get a big block Chevy, all aluminum heads, or even with just aluminum heads and a cast iron block, complete for pocket change? all the good small and big block Chevys, and they made some. The factory made some pretty stout ones. You hardly ever see them in the wild unless you're in a museum or maybe at a car show, but typically not for sale while you're watching a soccer game, again, for pocket change. So that in itself makes this engine really desirable. That, and it's been proven over and over again how much power these stupid things can make. Even stock, this thing's over 400 horsepower. All your fabled, like your LS6 Chevelle made 450. This is close, and it's in a pickup truck. So there's that. And when you start crossing them into different brands, people lose their minds. Trust me, I have 2 LS Dodges swaps, so it didn't exactly win me any popularity. If I ever wonder why my channel doesn't grow, you got all those Mopar guys mad at me. But I would have a LS swapped Fox body if I could find one I want, like a 79 Fairmont Futura or Mercury Zephyr, the Bob Glidden style, or the Animal Jim in his Mammoth Mercury. I think that is the coolest looking race car. And to make a pretty good street car, it has to have big rear tires. Maybe just a big radial, I don't know. But anyway, I like apparently a slab-sided vehicle with a weird rear window, but there's something about them, probably more what Bob Glidden and Animal Jim did with them and others like them. So that's that. I'm going to unload this baby, bolt the stand on it, wash the antifreeze out of my truck, and go enjoy the rest of the afternoon. I got lots of things to do, but sometimes you just got to take a break and let the world come to you. Hope you're having a great weekend. But wait, there's more. If you know me, and you've heard me talk about my past, the 70 Chevelle is pretty high on my food chain. I had an SS396 and an SS454. The 454 was not an LS6. I've only seen a couple of them. And I was wrong a minute ago. That same engine in a Corvette was rated at 450. In the Chevelle, it was rated at 4 1/4, 425. So we're over 400 horsepower with this greasy old relic right here. Torque, I'd have to look that up. And trust me, I love big blocks. They're awesome. Haven't given up on them. I have several of those. I actually was completely out of them and went and found a few just so I could sleep better at night. If you knew me way back in the day, instead of collecting LS engines, it was big block Chevys. I was never a small block collector. And only recently, I haven't even completed them, to complete my desire to have a good small block. So no more rambling. Back to what I was saying. Back to your weekend.